Hello friends, myself Praveen Pathak. I welcome you again in the series of lectures which is focuses on the basics of chemical engineering thermodynamics. In the previous lectures we have already discussed about the different laws of thermodynamics, that is zeroth law, first law, second law and third law. Now in this lecture we are going to apply the knowledge, apply the basic concepts and to use of the mathematical statement of the first law of thermodynamics. Let us start with the examples. In the first example, it is given that calculate the pressure volume work done in joules by a system containing a gas when it expands from 1 liter to 2 liter against a constant pressure of 10 atmosphere. It means in this example, it is given that we have to calculate the pressure volume work done. Unit is given in terms of joules only. Then a gas is going to expand from 1 liter to 2 liter. It means initial volume and final volume, that is V1 and V2, is given in terms of 1 liter and 2 liter. Then it is a constant pressure process. So 10 atmosphere is a external or a constant pressure which is given for this example. So data given is pressure V1, V2 and we have to calculate PV work done. So what is the formula for this work done? So for the PV work done, the simple formula is W is equal to P into delta V. So W is equal to P external into in bracket V2 minus V1. So just apply the values of V1, V2 and P. We get W as 10 liter atmosphere, right? So P is 10, V2 is 2 liter minus V1 is 1 liter. So 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 into 10 is 10 and the unit is liter atmosphere. But in the example they asked to calculate PV work done in terms of joules, right? So what is the relationship between liter atmosphere and joules? So for this purpose I have written 1 liter atmosphere is equal to 101.316 joules. So with the help of this relation we can calculate the 10 liter atmosphere in terms of joules. As 1 liter atmosphere is equal to 101.316 joules, so for the 10 liter atmosphere is equal to what? So 10 into 101.316 is nothing but 1013.16 joule is the final answer for this example, right? Let us discuss next example. In the second example, it is given calculate the work done in kilojoules. So we have to calculate work done in kilojoules by an ideal gas when 1 mole of the gas is expanded reversibly and isothermally. So n, small n is given, that is 1 mole of the gas. Then the gas is going to expand reversibly and isothermally. So isothermally means constant temperature process. So from 5 atmosphere to 1 atmosphere. So the pressure changes. So initial pressure, that is P1 is equal to 5 atmosphere and P2 final pressure is 1 atmosphere and the temperature is given, that is 298 Kelvin. So T is given, P1 is given, P2 is given, N is given and we have to calculate work done in terms of kilojoules when the gas is expanded reversibly and isothermally. So we must know, and we have already discussed, for the reversible isothermal expansion the formula for the work done is as W is equal to nRT ln P1 by P2. So for the reversible isothermal expansion, work done can be in terms of volume. can be in terms of pressure. Now in this example, the data given in terms of pressure, that is why we are going to use the work done in forms of pressure. So N is equal to 1 mole. R, you should know, 8.314 joules per mole K, and the value of R with respect to unit is depend on the data given in terms of units for the particular example. The temperature is 298 Kelvin, P1 is 5 atmosphere, P2 is 1 atmosphere. Just apply these values in the equation and we can calculate W as 3987 joules. Right? So here you can observe that why 8.314 value of R in terms of joules per mole K, because in the example N is in terms of mole, that is why R is also in terms of joules per mole K, mole, right? Temperature is given in terms of K and 1 mole is there. So in case if the example or the moles are given in terms of kilomole, then we should adopt R unit as kilojoules per kilomole K. So depending on the situation, depending on the condition given in the example, we have to adapt the value of R or the unit of R. So with the help of these calculations, we get 3987 joules, or it is also written as 3.987 kilojoules. So joules to kilojoules means into 10 raised to minus 3. Let us discuss the third example. A gas contained in a cylinder fitted with a frictionless piston expands from 5 liter to 10 liter against the constant pressure of 1 atmosphere. In doing so, it absorbs 400 joules thermal energy from its surrounding. Find delta U for this process. So we have to calculate delta U. What is given? The volume is given, that is V1 5 liter, V2 10 liter, pressure is given, that is 1 atmosphere, and capital Q or heat is given, that is 400 joules. So these are the given data. We have to calculate delta U, and we know that from the first law of thermodynamics, delta U is equal to Q minus W, right? So for the calculation of delta U, you must know the value of Q and W. In the example, Q is given, that is 400 joules. But how to calculate W? So simply PV work done is nothing but the W, right? So W is equal to P into V2 minus V1. So pressure is given, that is 1 atmosphere, V2 is given, that is 10 liter, V1 is given, that is 5 liter. So you can calculate W as 5 liter atmosphere and put this value of W and Q in the equation delta U is equal to Q minus W. We get the value of delta U as minus 106.58 joules. So internal energy of the gas decreases by 106.58 joules. So negative sign indicates that the internal energy decreases, and decreases by how much amount? That is 106.58. So we can calculate delta U with the help of these W calculations as well as with the help of first law of thermodynamics equation, right? So in the next example, calculate W, Q and H for 1 mole of an ideal gas which expands from V1 to 10 V1 at 300 K isothermally under reversible conditions. So in this example, we have to calculate capital W, that is work done, Q heat, and delta H, that is change in enthalpy. And what is given? 1 mole is given, that is N value, small n equal to 1. Then it expands from V1 to 10 V1. Now instead of number or numerical, they have given that V1 is equal to V1 and V2 is equal to 10 V1, right? And temperature is given, that is 300 Kelvin. So it is reversible isothermal expansion and the data is given in terms of volume. That is why we have to use the formula in terms of volume. In the previous example, the W formula or the calculation is depends on the pressure. Now in this example, W is in terms of volume. So what is W? W is equal to nRT ln V2 by V1 for the isothermal reversible expansion. Now put the value of nRT, V1 and V2, we get W as 5743.11 joules, right? So we have calculated W. Now for the Q and delta H, we must apply some logic and previous concepts which are already discussed in the previous lectures, like capital U, that is internal energy, depends only on the temperature. That is, capital U is the function of temperature only. That is why in this case isothermal condition is given, it means temperature is constant. So if the temperature is constant, it means delta U value is 0. Because temperature is not going to change, it means internal energy is also not going to change. So if there is no change in initial and final values of internal energy, it means delta U is equal to 0. Now we have to use the first law of thermodynamic equation, that is delta U is equal to Q minus W. So put the value of delta U as 0 and we get Q equal to W equation. So we already calculated that the W is 5743.11 joules and that is nothing but the Q, because with the help of first law and delta U equal to 0 value, we get Q equal to W. So the calculation of W is nothing but the Q value. Now how to calculate delta H? As we know that H is nothing but the enthalpy and delta H means change in enthalpy. So the basic equation for the change in enthalpy is delta H equal to delta U plus delta PV. Now for in this equation, it is an ideal gas, so we can replace delta PV equal to R delta T for the 1 mole of an ideal gas. N equal to 1, so we can replace this delta PV as R delta T. Put this R delta T in the above equation, we get delta H equal to delta U plus R delta T. Now we have already discussed that delta U is equal to 0. Put this value of 0 and delta T is also 0 because isothermal process is there, temperature is constant. So delta T is 0, delta U is 0. So delta H is equal to 0 plus 0, that is nothing but 0. So the calculation of W, Q and delta H is completed. Okay. Let us discuss next example. Example 5. An elevator of mass 2500 kg rests at a level of 7.5 meter above the base of an elevator shaft. So mass is given, that is small m is given 2500 kg. Then z is given, that is height 7.5 meter. The elevator is raised to a height of 75 meter from the base of the shaft. So modified condition is there, that is 75 meter, z is given. Where the cable holding breaks, it falls freely to the base where it is brought to rest by strong spring. So after modified condition, if the cable breaks, so what is that condition? Calculate the potential energy of the initial position. Initial positions means when z is equal to 7.5 meter. So what is the potential energy? Second, the potential energy of the elevator in its highest position. Highest means in this case 75 meter. Then third is work done in raising the elevator, and fourth is kinetic energy and velocity of the elevator just before it strikes the spring. And what is given? Acceleration due to gravity, that is small g is equal to 9.81 meter per second square. Now we must go one by one. So for the first condition, what is the formula for potential energy? So we have already discussed the various forms of energy and their respective formula. So potential energy is nothing but mgz. So in the potential energy formula, m is the mass of the substance. So in this case 2500 kg, that is the mass of the substance. G is 9.81 meter per second square, and Z is the height. For the initial condition it is 7.5 meter. So we can calculate this m into g into z, and we get 183.9375 kilojoules, or 183,937.5 in terms of joules, right? So the calculation or the units of this potential energy is actually kg into meter per second square into meter. Please note that kg into meter per second square into meter is nothing but Newton meter, that is nothing but joule, because kg into meter per second square is nothing but Newton, and Newton into meter is nothing but joules. So whatever the calculations or the answer for this potential energy is indirectly in terms of joules. For the second condition, the formula is same, mass is same, acceleration due to gravity is same, only z changes, because the modified condition is the highest position, that is nothing but 75 meter. So put the value of z as 75 meter, and we get as 1839375 joules, or 1839.4 kilojoules. So potential energies are calculated. Now we must go further for the work done and kinetic energy and velocity calculations. So for the work done calculations, the formula is mg delta z. So mass we know, g we know, and z2 and z1 also known. So put the values, and we get the value 1655437.5 joules. And for the calculation of velocity, we must know the formula of kinetic energy. And before applying this formula of kinetic energy, we must know the logic or the concept. For this elevator, the kinetic energy is equal to the potential energy. So potential energy we have already calculated for the initial position and modified position also, and this potential energy is nothing but the kinetic energy. So the formula for kinetic energy, half mu square. So the unknown value is u, that is velocity. We know the value of m, that is mass. We know the value of kinetic energy, because kinetic energy is nothing but the potential energy. So equate this, the value of potential energy, with kinetic energy equation, that is half into m into u square. So with the help of this equation, or with the help of shift solve method in the scientific calculator, or with the regular method, we can calculate the value of u, that is 38.36 meter per second, right? So let us discuss with the next example, that is 6. In this example, it is given 1 kg of water in a waterfall is flowing down from a height of 100 meter, and at the bottom of the fall it joins a river. Neglecting energy exchange between the water and the surroundings, and assuming the river downstream velocity to be negligible, calculate first the potential energy of water at the top of the fall, second the kinetic energy just before the water strikes the bottom, and third the change in temperature of the water when it enters the river. The given data is G equal to 9.81 meter per second square and specific heat of water, that is Cp, is equal to 4.187 kilojoules per kgK. Now in the example, mass is given, that is 1 kg of water, right, and it is falling from the 100-meter height. So height is also given. So we can calculate the potential energy. So we already discussed the formula for potential energy, that is mgz. So m is 1 kg, g is 9.81 meter per second square, and z is 100 meter. So we get 981 joules as a potential energy, right? For the kinetic energy, we already discussed that potential energy is equal to kinetic energy. So we have already calculated potential energy, and that value is nothing but the kinetic energy. So kinetic energy is potential energy, and that is nothing but 981 joules. For the change in temperature calculations, we must know the formula for the Q. So heat is equal to mCp delta T, because when the sensible heat is there or sensible heat calculations are there, we have to adopt the formula Q equal to mCp delta T. And now we have to calculate the delta T. So rearranging this equation, delta T is equal to Q upon mCp, right? So the Q or kinetic energy or potential energy is already given, that is 981. M is given, that is 1 kg. Cp is also given, that is 4.187 kilojoules per kgK or 4187 joules per kgK. So putting this value together, we get the value of delta T in terms of Kelvin, that is 0.234 Kelvin. Now next example, for the delta U, Q, W calculations. In this example, calculate the unknown quantities in the above table and the net work and heat interactions. So they have given only a table, and the blank space or dash is indicating that we have to calculate these values. For example, in this table, in the 1-2 process, delta U is dash. It means we have to calculate delta U for the 1-2 process when Q is given, that is 200 kilojoules, and W is given, that is 100 kilojoules. So we have to apply this value of Q and W in the first law equation, and we have to calculate delta U value for the 1-2 process. In the similar way, we have to calculate W for the 2-3 process, then delta U and Q for the 3-4 process, and Q for the 4-1 process. So what is given? So remaining values are given. So let us start with the 1-2 process. So in the 1-2 process, the given data is 200 kilojoules Q and 100 kilojoules W. So how to calculate delta U? Simple equation, delta U equal to Q minus W. Put the value, that is Q as 200 kilojoules, W as 100 kilojoules. We get delta U as 100 kilojoules. So in the similar way, we can calculate the different values for the 2-3 process. So for the 2-3 process, they asked to calculate W value. We know the same formula, delta U is equal to Q minus W. Apply this formula for the 2-3 process, and we get the calculation for W. In the similar way, for the process 3-4, only the different thing is there, that we have to adjust delta U values in terms of delta U 3-4. see or observe that u4 minus u3. So we have adjusted this u4 minus u3 like that, that is u4 minus u1 plus u1 minus u2 plus u2 minus u3. If you observe this, minus u1 plus u1 minus u2 plus u2. So we have added and subtracted u1 and u2 values. Why it is required? Because in the table for the 3 dash process, that u1 u4 difference, u2 u1 difference and u2 u3 difference is given, and on the basis of these values only we can calculate delta u for the 3 dash 4 process, right? Then for the 3 dash 4 process we can calculate that u1 minus u4 also, and similarly for the process 4 dash 1 u1 minus u4 we can apply the given values or the calculated values, and we get 350 kilojoules for q 4 dash 1 process. And in overall, if they ask to calculate the net work done or the net heat extraction, then we have to add all the processes work done, that is 1 dash 2, 2 dash 3, 3 dash 4 and 4 dash 1 again. It means a complete cycle is there, 1 to 1 again, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 and 4 to 1. So if we add all the work done for all the process, then we get the net work done. And in the similar way, if we add the q values from 1 dash 2, 2 dash 3, 3 dash 4 and 4 dash 1 process, we get the net heat extraction, right? So in this way we can calculate the different values which are unknown or not given in the table. In the 8th example, it is given that a rigid and industrial tank of volume 2 meter cube is divided into two equal compartments. A rigid and thermally insulated tank is there. So temperature is constant, no heat interaction is there, and volume is given, that is 2 meter cube. So volume is fixed and two equal compartment, it is divided into two equal compartments. So that is center point. By a portion, one compartment contains an ideal gas at 1 megapascal. So compartment 1 is having a pressure of 1 megapascal and compartment 1 having the temperature 600 Kelvin, while the other compartment, means second compartment, contains same gas but the pressure and temperature is different. So second compartment is having 0.1 megapascal pressure and 300 Kelvin temperature. Find the final temperature and pressure of the gas in the tank if the partition gets punctured. It means initially they said that the one tank is divided into two portions or two compartments, and finally the partition is removed or the partition is punctured. It means at the final state these two compartment gas is mixed, even though the temperature and pressure conditions are different in the different compartments, but in the final condition the gas is mixed. So the total compartment or the total tank temperature and pressure is one and the same. So we have to calculate this final temperature and pressure for the total tank. So in the solution, V is given, that is 2 meter cube, then the volume is divided. So for the each compartment 1 meter cube volume is there. Then compartment A, PA is 1 MPa and it is converted into kPa. So megapascal is converted into kilopascal by multiplying 1000 or 10 raised to 3. Volume for one compartment or a compartment is 1 meter cube, temperature is 600 Kelvin, and similarly for compartment B, pressure is 0.1, 100 kilopascal, volume is 1 meter cube and temperature is 300 Kelvin. Now we know that it is an ideal gas, so we can apply the ideal gas law, that is PV equal to nRT. So for the compartment A, we can apply this ideal gas law, that is PAVA equal to NARTA, and rearranging this equation, Na equal to PAVA upon RTA. So we know the value of PA, that is 1 megapascal. We know the value of VA, that is 1 meter cube. We know the value of R, that is 8.31451. We know the value of temperature, that is 600 Kelvin. So we can calculate the moles. So the moles for A compartment is 0.2 kilomole. In the similar way, we can calculate the moles for compartment B. And if we add the moles of compartment A and B, we get 0.24 kilomole for the moles of tank. Why we are going to do so? Because they have asked to calculate the temperature and pressure for the total volume or the total tank. So we have to add this volume A and volume B, that is compartment A and B. So using these values, we can calculate the temperature and pressure. So how to do that? We know that volume is fixed, so work done is 0, because W is nothing but pressure into delta V. So as volume is fixed, delta V is 0. There is no change in volume. So delta V is 0. It means W is also 0. Apply this value in the first law of thermodynamic equation, that is delta U equal to Q minus W. We get that delta U equal to 0 minus 0. We know that W is equal to 0 as P delta V is 0, and it is thermally insulated. It means there is no change of heat or temperature. That is why Q is also equal to 0. So we get delta U equal to 0 value, right? So we can use the equation, that is initial internal energy of the gas in A and B is equal to NaCa Ta plus NbCb Tb. So we can apply the values of all the known value in this equation, and we can calculate the temperature. So for the temperature, NaTA plus NbTb upon N. So we know the Na value, that is moles of A compartment. We know the temperature of A compartment. We know the moles and temperature of B compartment also. So we can calculate the T value, right? So on the basis of this equation, the final temperature is of the gas is 550 Kelvin. And for calculations of P, we can use the ideal gas law again, but it is for the final pressure. PV equal to nRT. We know the temperature now, that is 550 Kelvin. Then we know the total moles, that is 0.24, which is addition of 0.2 and 0.04. And we know the value of R, and we know the value of total volume, that is 2 meter cube of a tank. So applying these values, we get the pressure as 548.75 kilopascal or 0.5487 megapascal. So in this way, we can calculate the pressure and temperature of the final tank. Now this is the example 9, in which it is given that 1 mole of an ideal gas contained in a piston cylinder assembly is compressed from 100 kilopascal and 27 degrees Celsius till its volume is reduced to 1/15th of the original volume. So temperature is given, pressure is given, 1 mole means small n is also given, and it is piston cylinder compression system is there. So the process of compression is polytropic. So it is mentioned that it is a polytropic compression system, and with the value of n is equal to 1.2. Determine the final temperature and pressure of the gas, work done, and heat interaction. So as it is mentioned that it is a polytropic compression, so we must know the formula for the polytropic compression. That is a general formula, P into V raised to N is equal to constant. So in this case, the value of N is given, that is 1.2. So we can write P into V raised to 1.2 is equal to constant. And for the initial and final conditions, we can modify or rearrange the same formula, P1 V1 raised to 1.2, P2 V2 raised to 1.2. So rearranging the equation, we get P2 is equal to P1 into V1 by V2 raised to 1.2. V1 is the initial volume, V2 is the final volume, and in the numerical they mention that the volume is reduced to 1/15th of the original, that is initial volume. So V2 is nothing but the 1/15th of the V1, that is the main condition. So we can use the value of V2 in terms of V1 and we can put the value of V2 in the equations. So P1 is given, that is 100 kilopascal. We can put the value of P1 and V2 in the above equation, that is in this equation. So P2 is 100 into V1 upon 1/15th of V1. So it is nothing but the V2. They have mentioned that the final volume is reduced to the 1/15th of the initial volume. That is why it is written as 1/15th V1 raised to 1.2. So applying the values, we get P2 as 25.78 bar or 2578 kilopascal. So this is the final pressure and we can calculate the final temperature with the help of ideal gas law again in terms of initial and final volume. That is P1 V1 by T1 is equal to P2 V2 by T2. So put the values and we get T2 as 515.6 Kelvin. So we have calculated the final temperature and pressure values. Now to calculate the work done in the polytropic process with the compression system, the formula is W is equal to P1 V1 minus P2 V2 upon N minus 1. So it is again, we know that PV is equal to nRT for the ideal gas law. So replace this P1 V1 minus P2 V2 terms or products in terms of RT1 minus RT2, and we know that R is the universal gas constant, so can be taken as common. So R into T1 minus T2 divided by N minus 1. So put the value of R, T1, T2 and N, we get the work done value, that is minus 8963 joules per mole. So minus sign indicates that the work done is on the gas, that is on the system, and the work done value is 8.963 kilojoules per kilomole or joules per mole. So for the calculation of delta U, we can use the formula delta U equal to CV delta T. So delta U is equal to CV delta T. So the concept of heat capacity at constant volume is already discussed in the previous lecture. With the help of this, we can calculate delta U value, that is CV into T2 minus T1. Or it is also written as R upon gamma minus T2 minus T1. So put the values of R, gamma, T1 and T2, we get the value of delta U. So that is 4481.5 kilojoules per kilomole is the value of delta U. So with the help of first law of thermodynamics, that is delta U equal to Q minus W, we can calculate the value of Q, that is Q equal to delta U minus W. Put the value which is calculated just now, that is delta U, and we know the value of W, which is also calculated in the previous part. Putting this value of delta U and W, we get the value of Q, that is minus 4.4815 kilojoules per kilomole. Here minus sign indicates that heat is rejected or heat is given out by the system, and the magnitude is 4.4815 kilojoules per kilomole. So I hope that you understand how to apply the first law of thermodynamics, or the different concepts or the parameters or the different formula with the help of unit conversion, and we can calculate the different values of W, Q, delta H, delta U, etc. Thank you.